Well, thanks so much for having me today. It's an honor to be with you, and it was amazing to hear the inspiring stories of the other presenters before me. And if you kind of looked at what they talked about as how the issue of human rights, women's rights, uh, human trafficking, and slavery incorporate all those areas. And so I'm just going to touch on some of the areas that we work on, and just for the sake of the audience, you can become a member of a Rotary Action Group against slavery. You can be a non-Rotarian or a Rotary member and join. But our mission is simply committed to connect, empower, equip Rotarians to engage their community to eradicate all forms of modern day slavery. You look at the slide here of the modern day slavery in the world, and you think about that number, 45 million, and how many victims of these are children. It's second, this issue is second only to the gun trade in the world. And it's a $150 billion business. And so honestly, for me, when I first heard these numbers, I was at a conference in 2012, and I heard the numbers 45 million. How do you get your head around that? But through that conference in Atlanta, Georgia, the entire conference was focused on the issue of human trafficking. I met a girl named Melissa, who was being trafficked in downtown Atlanta. She told her story about being trafficked, and I invited her to come speak to my Rotary Club the year I was president. And she told a story about being trafficking in downtown Atlanta year after year. And she was finally rescued. And what was amazing is after the meeting, one of our members gave Melissa a big hug. I said, "How'd you know Melissa?" He said, "She used to babysit my kids when she was 12. And so then it became not somebody else's problem. And so I just imagine the issue with Rotary, because we've on the verge of eradicating polio, and realize that human trafficking, modern slavery is in every community in the world. And when you look at our 7 areas of focus, now we have an environment, 7 areas of focus. We, as an action group, actually falls under peace building and conflict resolution. Matter of fact, in President Shekhar's manual on empowering girls on page 7, it talks about addressing the issue of human trafficking. But we feel that human trafficking affects all 7 areas of focus. And as you heard earlier from Neil, if a person or a girl cannot go to a well or go to an area to get clean water for fear of being beaten or raped, then the well becomes, or the water source becomes useless. So we believe with the absence of freedom in our communities, you can't accomplish any of those areas of focus. And so that's why we think this issue is so important to address with Rotary. And again, we're an army of 1.2 million Rotarians and 34,000 clubs in over 200 countries. And as you heard from the speakers earlier, this issue of modern slavery and human trafficking affects every community in the world. It's in every community in Georgia, in the United States. It's in every community around the world. And one of the areas that we've really been focused strongly on is empowering girls through education and prevention. That's an area that we really believe strongly in. And one of the things that we've created is a toolkit on our website that you can go to and look at the resources. It's called Community Awareness and Prevention Education. And we've created not only a toolkit, but we've worked on grants around the world to create education prevention. There was a grant in California that was a Rotary International Global Grant of $215,000 that we educated through our partners, Three Strand Global in California, 33,000 students and 10,000 teachers. And what I love about that story is not only you educate on prevention of trafficking for at-risk population and young girls, but one of the young ladies that was in 9th grade became so impacted by the issue that she became a nurse because of hearing this story. Now she trains nurses all over California on how to spot the signs of human trafficking. So it's actually saving lives. And so we've created a series of grants to engage Rotary districts around the world to begin on education prevention. And many states, many countries actually mandate training in our school system. And I'd love for you to reach out to us to learn more about how to receive one of those grants from us. The other area that we're working on is Uganda with a global grant with Hope for Justice. And what I love about this model is each one of these models I'll talk about today is actually very scalable, and we can share how we're going to do that. But in Uganda, Kampala in particular, we are working to empower families, which actually helps with economic development, micro enterprise skills. It teaches families how to support their children so that they're not ever trafficked. It teaches them parenting skills. And we believe this model is something that we can scale eventually to get a grand scales around the world to do this. But we've seen so much success from this, because when you empower families, you empower communities. And we also see that during COVID, the issue of human trafficking, modern slavery has increased dramatically. So a lot of times these kids are at home. So by empowering these families, teaching them skills, parenting skills, teaching them ways to create an economy for their kids, it's amazing to see the success. And Hope for Justice has been doing this in Uganda for several years, and so we're working on a global grant there to increase that model. And we believe this can go not only there, but it can go to other areas of that region as well. One other program that we work closely on, as you know, if a trafficking victim has been through therapy and gets out of trafficking, then what? We're working with, it's called the Women's Academy through an organization called Wellspring Living that we support. It's a 10-week career readiness program. It gives paid internships. And what's amazing to that is some of the partners that we work with, businesses are Delta, UPS, International Hotel Group. And a great story is the CEO of Delta Airlines wanted to learn more about the program, so he took two of the survivors out to lunch to learn more about from them their success and their program. And he was so impacted by it, they began hiring survivors. And these survivors, through that 10-week readiness course, get the GED training and get all the skills they need for job. But UPS, like I said, we've got several cities that are employing survivors as well. So it's amazing program that kind of gives us holistic approach to helping survivors and young girls and women as well. And just a story about the power of Rotary. Several months ago, one of our coordinators in Quito, Ecuador, WhatsApped me late one night and said that she'd gotten a message from somebody she knew in Argentina that received a message from a mom in Mexico that their daughter had been trafficked for 2 months, and she didn't know what to do. The daughter was 17. She'd been trafficked for 2 months. So we reached out to our partners in Mexico, and within 24 hours, that girl was rescued. And you see the picture on the right is a mom hugging the girl for the first time. Obviously, she's 17, so her face is blurred out. So, but that's the kind of the power that Rotary has when it comes to this issue. And we see this story is not unique to what we're doing. We see it all over the world. We hear stories about this every day. And like I said earlier, it affects all areas of our focus, and it's so important. And I'm so thankful that Rotary International has been so supportive of our action group. Presidents all the way back from Robbie Ravenna, when we hosted a World Summit with President Carter, flew in from Sri Lanka just to be with us for that. And so I'm just really thankful for Rotary, and I'm thankful as a proud Rotarian that I have an organization that can actually do something about an issue that is this difficult to deal with. But we have the example with the way we eradicate on the verge of eradicating polio. And lastly, I'll just tell a quick story about a board member of ours. His name is Matt Friedman, and he was in India doing a story on human trafficking. And he tried to interview this girl named Geeta, and she didn't want to be interviewed for the longest time. And finally, she said, "Okay, I'll be interviewed." So sat down at a table with all the people around the table, and she was interviewing. And the last question Matt asked Geeta was, "Are you mad at the traffickers?" And she goes, "No, I'm mad at you. Where were you? Where were you to help when I needed your help?" And that's where Rotary is. Rotary fills those gaps. Rotary is there to help people, help children, help girls to get out of the vulnerable situations. So I'm just honored and thankful to be part of this. And if you want to learn more about what we do and join the movement at www.ragass.online, and it'll be in the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you and see how we can work together. But thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be part of this amazing group of people.